I'm Cassidy,
And I'm Kennedy.
and this is Threads of Wellth. One thing we both added into our routines lately is H2 Tab, the first company fully dedicated to molecular hydrogen tablets.
And it's so simple. You just drop a tablet in your water, it dissolves, and your water becomes infused with pure molecular hydrogen. And we've genuinely felt a difference.
I love taking that along with the Daily Essentials vitamin packet. It helps my body combat oxidative stress and supports natural energy without feeling jittery. The days that I have accidentally forgotten, I really notice a huge difference.
Yeah, I've also been using it after my workouts, after I teach Pilates, or even when I'm traveling. I notice better recovery and overall just better mental clarity. If you want an easy wellness habit that actually fits into your real life, check out drinkh2tab.com and use our code Threads of Wellth for 10% off. That's code Threads of Wellth. Wealth is WELLTH. Threads of Wellth for 10% off. Welcome back to Threads of Wellth. We recently returned from a family vacation in Florida, which sparked many conversations about traveling with little ones. From schedules to packing to staying well on the road, we learned lots of practical tips along the way. Today's episode, we are going to be sharing our experiences and advice in hopes that it helps families feel more confident and less overwhelmed when preparing for their own travels.
Well, I'm excited to talk about this episode because we just got home from a trip from Florida, our whole family, and it actually sparked a lot of conversations on traveling with kids.
Yeah.
And which obviously led us to this episode. But I think the first question that we had kind of brought up was, is it worth it to travel with kids? I think a lot of people ask that when they start to travel after they have kids, should we just stay home until they grow up a little bit and it's easier, or should we just go for it?
Yeah.
What's your answer to that?
My overall answer is yes, it's worth it. We travel a lot with Noah. We travel a lot in general, I feel like. And we've just always brought Noah with. The first trip we went on was when she was 2 months. We went to Washington, D.C. for Easter. And then at 4 months, we took her to Ireland. And so I feel like we always just kind of knew traveling with her as soon as we became parents. And I think every phase or every age, I guess, comes with a different level of difficult. But my overall answer is yes, if you are able to kind of shift your mindset a little bit and not walk into it with expectations that it's going to be the same prior to having kids. So yeah. What would you say?
Yeah, I agree. I think in our situation is a little different because we have 3 now. And when we had just Addie, it was easy. It was a little bit more simple. We took her, to Iceland.
Right.
And we did things like that. So we're not going to take all 3 kids and go to a different country at this point. They're 4, 3, and 1.
Yeah.
So they get older. Yeah. But I still think it's worth it to travel with them. This trip to Florida. We went to DC last spring, and so it's worth it, definitely. We're just not going to be doing it jumping on a plane every other week with them, because it is tiring. It's not I think, like you said, shifting your mindset. I don't go into those anymore. If we're traveling with our kids, being this is going to be a super relaxing, restful time, and I'm going to come back refreshed. Yeah. My mindset now is more this is going to be great. The memories that the kids will take away from this is going to be awesome, and great memories for us as parents too, because we're getting to make new memories with our kids in a different place and do fun things. But just going into it knowing that it's not going to be super relaxing.
Yeah, it was funny because we all stayed in obviously a house together, and our kids are all on kind of different schedules a little bit. So we had 4 kids there. Noah's 11 months. And then obviously Addie's 4, Branch's 3, Lenny's 1.5. But it was kind of funny because I felt like we kind of spent our entire day just shifting around their schedule. So once one kid went to bed, another one would wake up, and then it was time to feed one. And then it was just kind of funny. And again, we were in a beautiful place, and I have zero complaints because it was warm there, and we could go swimming at the pool, and it was a really fun trip, even though we were kind of still in the same routine that we might have been in at home, with the understanding that, you know, we need to be flexible because we are somewhere different and we need to give ourselves grace. But I remember, I think it was like the second or third day that we were there, we were in the kitchen. I don't know if we were making breakfast or lunch or what we were doing, but what did you said something about, I'm grateful because this is actually like forcing me to slow down and do things with my kids and be more, not that you're not intentional at home, but be more intentional, like having a dance party at night like we did. Or what was it that you said again?
Yeah, that's what it was about, was when I think at New Year's Eve we were like doing a dance party like you said, and Danny Go, we were doing Danny Go dance on YouTube, but then it was the next day I said I thought I was reflecting on that, and like at home, you know, I've got like a task list, like I'm trying to get the house clean, change the laundry, finish my work, and I try to be present with them at the same time, but I'm not like taking the time to dance, like have dance parties, you know what I mean? And so like going on vacation like that forces you to slow down enough to do the little things that you sometimes overlook when you're at home doing your daily routines and things like that.
And I will say we probably needed it, because I think we probably enjoyed those dance parties more than the kids. I think they thought we were kind of excited, but by the end of the trip, we're like, who wants to have a dance party? And
it might have been one of the highlights, actually.
Oh gosh,
we just did it kind of every night after that. But
it was
that's a good point. You just like, you can kind of let go of the stuff at home, and even just the simple things of not having to clean your house at night so that you wake up and it's clean. Like then you can take away the time, you can take that time to spend doing the things with your kids.
Right. Not that we weren't and you weren't cleaning, because still like we stayed in a house, which a little plug is a lot easier than staying in a hotel, just for the stages of life that we're in. You know, we had access to laundry and a kitchen and things, different bedrooms, and where we could all spend time together. But it was just different because we were all together, and it wasn't looking at the responsibility of your own home, like cleaning the whole house, doing multiple loads of laundry, other little kind of mundane tasks that you would see in your own home that you wouldn't see in like a place that you're renting or something.
Yeah. Like that. And you don't feel like you're going to get like at night, I feel like I got to do all the things so that I'm not backed up the next day, but you have time the next day to do some of that stuff. So you don't feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would say that's one of my tips for sure. Like if you have kids, that going, and if you're gonna go somewhere, like do something like that, stay in a house. Don't go in a, I mean, if you have to stay in a hotel, like you have to do what you have to do, but the experience was so much better being in a house where we can spread out, and like the kids can not take their naps on top of each other, and just it's much more enjoyable that way. And so if you can do that, like try to do an Airbnb as opposed to a hotel.
I agree. And with 4 kids and obviously fluctuating nap times, like you said, in a hotel, if I put Noah down for a nap, I would, obviously I'm not going to leave the hotel room and leave her alone. Like I would stay in there with her. And again, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you need to do, that's perfectly fine. But there are other things that can help you have more of an experience if that is the route you choose to go. So we always travel with what's called a slumber pod. Even though we stayed in a house and with different bedrooms, we still travel with it. We travel with it everywhere we go. It's basically like a blackout tent. You set it up by basically pitching a tent, and you just set it over the pack and play, the crib, whatever you're using. And for us, we don't typically share a room with Noah at home. She sleeps in her nursery. But because we were on vacation, we shared a room with her. And even just by simply bringing that slumber pod with us and putting that blackout tent at night, we were still able to have the lights on or watch a show at night if we wanted to, while she's like in her pitch black tent. And so I think even just thinking about, just because your experience looks one way doesn't mean that has to dictate how your whole trip goes. There are little things that you can do to still have a vacation, to still have an enjoyable trip, even
Right.
if you're sitting in the hotel room while your baby's taking a nap. But
Yeah.
I think that also goes back to shifting your mindset. I was supposed to go to, or we were supposed to go to Mexico in early December, and there were a lot of flight issues, and that's a story for another time. But
Goodness.
I was honestly kind of worried about it going into that trip, because I'm not typically a FOMO person. I typically like don't mind, having to go back
Yeah.
to the hotel room or taking some time for myself. But I was a little worried about it, just because I felt like I was going to be missing out on everything, going back to the hotel room and taking her naps. And I think it basically, no matter where you're going, no matter what you're going to do, the ease of travel and how the trip will go starts with your mindset, because I was so anxious about that going into it. And I was talking to a friend who was also going to be there, and she was like, listen, there's going to be lots of other moms there, and we're in the same boat. And you just have to really take advantage and enjoy the times that you're able to bring her to the beach or the pool. And so
Yeah.
I just can't say that enough. And I'm really kind of trying to take my own advice. Is it really starts with a shift in mindset, and that will basically be the foundation of what that trip looks like for you.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's very applicable to like we're just getting off of Christmas and people traveling to go see family, and not just like even just road trips. Like it's the same thing. Like being taking your kids in the cars sometimes just as intimidating as it is as getting on an airplane with them. So that's no matter if you're going to go see family or you're actually going on vacation somewhere, like that's the same thing. Just understanding that like it's not always gonna look like that too, and this is a temporary moment in time. Try to enjoy that, because but it's easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah. So what is one thing, just because this trip is so fresh in our mind, what is one thing that you brought with you for your kids specifically that made a big difference, or that you, quote unquote, couldn't live without?
Well, in our house, we like they're getting to the point for sleeping. Like Lenny sleeps in a pack and play. But the other two are in beds. And so that's a lot easier to worry about like what they're going to sleep in, as long as we have beds and everything. But my kids absolutely like white noise. They need that to sleep.
Yeah.
Which is more my like I kind of instilled that into them because I've always liked white noise. So they've always slept with it. But we always remember that that's like a non-negotiable. Even like we found, I wish that like I never did the slumber pod.
Yeah.
I think that just came out when like Lenny was born, I want to say, and we never got it.
Right.
That would have been a huge game changer. We can figure out ways to like make it darker, although the kids like Branch and Eddie are getting old enough where it doesn't matter so much.
Right.
But sound machines make a world of difference, because like if there's stuff going on in the other room, you can turn up the white
dance
noise.
Parties to Danny Go.
Yeah, you can turn on the white noise loud enough to they can still sleep.
Yeah.
And then that also, if it's the same one that they have at home, it brings that familiarity that they're used to sleeping with. And then of course there's like the blankies and stuff like that, but if we bring the sound machines, they pretty much, because I feel like if they need to we prioritize sleep on vacations,
right?
They're not going to be, we're not perfect, like we're letting them go to bed later, but I think that the quality of sleep is really important when they're not only to keep them happy but to keep them healthy. So trying to get really good sleep while they're at bedtime or nap time is important.
Yeah. And I think that kind of goes back to just shifting your mindset that it's not going to look perfect, but controlling the controllables is huge. There's a lot of things that are outside of your what you're able to control on trips. Specifically if you're traveling by airplane, there's a lot of things that are just outside of your control, and so if you're able to control the environment in which they sleep in, then do that, so that whatever sleep that they are getting, it's going to be quality. If you're staying in an Airbnb and you're able to control what food that they're consuming, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sometimes you're going to go out to eat, which is great. But when you're in that environment, controlling the foods and making sure that they're getting good quality foods, high protein, vitamin C rich foods to help them stay healthy while they're traveling, I think that's huge. But so going back to the sound machine, is there a specific one that you guys love?
We've always had the Hatch, but I do really like that one, but we don't have we have one of those. We've had one that broke and then we just get a new one, but not really anymore, honestly. Like I feel like the ones that have different settings, you can kind of make them all sound the same in a way.
Yeah, that's true.
But the Hatches are also big, and when you're traveling, you want a smaller one. We have one that's like just a square, like that big, and that's much easier to travel with, and it's just as loud. So the Hatch isn't always like that travel friendly. So I don't really have a certain brand, I guess.
What are some of your other favorite things for your kids that you bring with when you go on a trip or you're traveling anywhere?
So I think this will be good for both of us to answer in the sense that you were in different stages of life, you with a baby, and then me with toddlers. So like whether I am taking the kids on an airplane or in the car, there's always like certain things that I bring. This is just specific to like keeping them happy and busy. And then there's another set of things that I bring to like keep them healthy. But number one are snacks and making sure that there's healthy snacks. In the airports, you get off the plane, if you're like going to a connecting flight, there's not always good options. So and then plus like just snacks are always needed. It's like at home we're like, no, you don't need a snack, but when you're traveling, it's like, okay, if you're having a meltdown,
exactly, snacks cure everything.
So one thing I found that actually really worked, I think I saw it on Instagram a long time ago before we took a trip. It's the funniest word. They called it a snackle box.
Oh yeah, love a snackle box.
And it's a like a tackle box, right? So it has different compartments in it. And you put different snacks in each of them. So like the one I have is, I want to say 25 compartments. And
gosh, that's
like,
huge.
And putting just a little bit of the snack in each one. So it's like super exciting for them, keeps them busy, and they're looking at it like, okay, which one do I want? So that's something that I've just implemented in doing in all the trips, because it's smart. It's really easy to do. And then just having different activities, and so books, not necessarily we do a couple books, but like coloring books, and then different activities, but the key is doing ones that they don't have at home. So having them and then just keeping them separate for travel is huge, because then if they're bored with it, it's not gonna matter to them. They're not gonna be excited about it. So getting activities that are exciting. And then Addie and Branch have their tablets. So when we're traveling, we don't like try to sit on the tablets the whole time and watch a show, but I'm not limiting it quite as much as I am when I'm at home. And then just comfortable like the things that they need, their blankies and things like that. So what about you for more of a baby in the baby stage?
I would agree with the snacks, because she is almost a year. She's 11 months and she's a big snacky girl like her mom. But she loves like all the Once Upon a Farm snacks right now. She loves the little yogurt melts. She loves their puffs. They all have really good ingredients. And so I think that's what, again, I talked earlier about, and you talked about it too, but like controlling the controllables, so I can control the snacks that I bring. And so making sure they're high quality, so that if we do go out for supper and it's, to a restaurant, I don't have to feel bad about giving her something that, is not necessarily perfect in my mind. So snacks are a big one. I also packed a lot of those and went through a lot of those while we were there. The slumber pod is huge. I will say that's basically my favorite baby product, just because we do travel so much. Another one, which is gonna sound kind of weird, but her like snot sucker is my favorite thing to bring with us, because we have I found out about it through you, is that the Dr. No bought. It's a little purple and white little machine, but it's supposed to be hospital grade, and anytime if she has a runny nose from teething, I'm just like, up in there suctioning it out because I don't want it to turn into a cold, or I don't want it to turn into something worse, especially when traveling. And so that's a big one. And I always just kind of travel with I call it my little medicine cabinet of things that keep her healthy. And it's not necessarily a medicine cabinet, but it's like, you know, her earthly teeth tamer, her Rocasa immunity roller that I roll on the bottom of her feet, her magnesium cream. I really kind of overpack when it comes to whether it's like herbal supplements or creams, just so one, for my peace of mind, but also two, just to be prepared in case anything does come up. And I even, like, full transparency, I bring like a Motrin. I try to do like a dye-free pain reliever just because you never know what's going to happen. And if they do come down with something, if they are sick and then you're outside of your home in a comfortable environment, you just want to make sure that your babies are taken care of. And so, like, literally no shame in that, in my opinion. But other things, toys are a big one too. I'm kind of at a hard point with that, I think, with her, because she loses interest in toys so quickly.
Yeah.
And so if we're on an airplane, the toys, if she gets uninterested in her toys, then I'll literally ask the flight attendant for a plastic cup, and then that will keep her interested for, 10 minutes. And so really, it's just, I haven't really found one thing that makes it a whole lot easier, but I think just for me, and I think Tanner thinks I'm crazy, but I overpack in the sense of entertainment, and I try to underpack if we're staying at home or Airbnb, and as far as clothes, because I know I can do laundry and I know I can buy more diapers if I need to. But really keeping her happy during the travel and having things that are going to make me feel comfortable are huge. I heard a while ago that I don't know if somebody told me this or if I heard it on another podcast, that it's not our job to make people around us feel comfortable. It's our job to make our babies feel comfortable. And so I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever heard. So as long as I know I'm prepared and I have enough to keep Noah happy, healthy, and fed, then I'm good.
Yeah. That's really good. Yeah, that's a hard stage because they're very, can't just they talk to them and talk them out of a meltdown or something. Not that you really can with toddlers either, but at least I can understand you. Right. Babies you just never know what's gonna come up. I would say, and again, I think it's more of because there's 3 of them as opposed to when I had Addie, and I think that's just everybody's story. Like, as you have more kids, there's less room to bring stuff. Right. So like I still try to pack what I can when it comes to like, and I'm kind of shifting more now to like supplements or what we bring to stay healthy. Because as we know, like their immune system can it just takes a hit when you're traveling, no matter what kind of traveling. You're just out of your routine. That goes for all of us adults too. Like our immune system takes a hit when we're traveling. But what I always make sure to bring is their vitamins. We use the Haya vitamins. Okay. And they love them. It's like candy to them. So and I trust that brand, and so we always take those. And then electrolytes are huge. I think for everybody, mostly kids, becoming dehydrated is really easy when you travel. So making sure that they're getting electrolytes. Our kids call it juice. So finding one that you like and that has good ingredients in it. We use the Just Ingredients brand. Okay. And so those are the main 2. And then if I have room, like I always bring, Dr. Green Life has supplements, like they're a natural base supplement. So like if they have a temperature, there's a temperature tamer. Oh yeah, I have the bronchial calm. And then but my top 2 I always bring are the Nature Biotic and then the Detox Junior, because that just kind of like covers everything. So if they're coming down to something, so I bring that, and then like a pain reliever, like you said, right, just in case. So try to bring like the essentials, but for sure the getting good quality food in, like you had said earlier, and making sure that they're hydrated, and getting their essential nutrients in is really important, and we try to keep that at least in the routine as we're traveling.
Yeah, that's really good. So just the vitamins and the electrolytes is basically what you bring for your kids, kind of for maintenance. We talk about, like, it's different on the trip because you don't want to overpack. You don't need to have a perfect routine, but I think being consistent with the basics is super important, so you're not completely falling out of your routine. So basically for your kids, you bring the vitamins, the electrolytes, and then everything else is kind of there just in case they start to come down with anything.
Yeah, I usually bring a couple, like we have little individual packets of their probiotics, so we bring those. We're not always diligent on doing that every day, but we bring them just in case. And then like magnesium cream, that's just more of like a toiletry thing that we like put on their feet before they go to bed. Right. So otherwise, we're not too complicated. There's obviously like stuff that like you said, just doing the minimum to keep the maintenance there. There's more that we do at home, but you can't bring everything for 3 kids when you travel.
It can't be perfect. And I think when I think about packing, when I was preparing to pack for our Ireland trip, I was extremely overwhelmed. I'm just like, I don't even know where to start. How do I pack? We're going to be gone for a week. I don't know how to bring every single thing that I need for her, because babies and kids honestly kind of do require a lot. And especially like when you're at home thinking about having the same exact routine. But it's not going to look perfect, and you just kind of have to lay out your priorities and understand where, like, what's going to be worth it and what's not. So for example, I like to bring my pack and play mainly when we travel because, one, I know Noah sleeps really good in it, and 2, something that's important to me, especially if we're traveling to a place like Mexico, I don't really know what these hotels are cleaning their cribs or pack and plays with. Most likely it's bleach, and so I don't love that, and I don't know. I don't really love to not know what she's sleeping in at night and breathing in all night long. And so to me, that's important. But if that's not super important to you, that's perfectly fine. It's super easy to just leave yours at home and call the hotel or Airbnb ahead of time to see if they have something there that you can use. That's one less thing that you have to bring. The car seat too. If you don't want to bring your car seat, if you don't want to go through the hassle, you can rent car seats anywhere. And it's super easy to throw in a rental car or an Uber, whatever that might look like. But again, for me, our car seat is one that doesn't require a base. Obviously, that's going to change now that she's getting older and we'll have to shift into a different kind of car seat. But it's pretty easy to just stick in a rental car or an Uber, get it in and out pretty quickly. Also, I love to have the extra space. So whenever we get on a plane or get to the airport and we're checking our car seat bag, it doesn't fill up the entire bag that we put it in. And so I throw extra things in there. I throw extra diapers. I throw, her monitor, her slumber pod, whatever that might be in there. And it's another little tool that I like to help store things. And I know that I'm going to have things that she's comfortable with.
Yeah. So what's something that you have at home, but you've usually decided that's not worth bringing?
Oh, that's really good. I think it's kind of funny. I would probably say our sound machine because we don't get me wrong, she uses a sound machine when she travels, but I have yet to find it worth it to like unplug hers and bring hers. So we have the little portable hatch. It doesn't get super loud, so that's the one unfortunate thing. It doesn't get as loud as the regular hatch, but we'll use that, and that is always attached to her car seat, so it's coming with us regardless because we're always bringing her car seat. Or we just download an app on our phone and use that as a sound machine. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest ones. I am still like first to admit that I'm an overpacker, and I'm trying to get better at that. Maybe that will be one of my New Year's resolutions, but
hard.
I think there's not many things that I am like super comfortable leaving behind because I just love to be prepared, but that's probably one of them. What about you?
I would say, Yeah, it is a hard question. I guess I would say, um, like just letting go of, because like my kids kind of with their sleeping environment
Yeah.
is very, I've always made that very important.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily a thing. It's more of an expectation of not having the room, not needing the room to be super dark. So like usually I used to bring, like when it was just Addie, and we didn't have the summer pod, I brought like these things that you could that they would like suction to above the window, so it'd black out the room, the entire room, and I would bring those, and it was just like I used to try to make everything exactly how it was at home. And I think that that's great if you can do that, but when you get to the point that you can't do that anymore, just letting go of that expectation, not letting it stress you out. And because I also think it's good for your kids as they get older to learn how to, they're gonna have to learn how to adapt to their environment eventually.
Yeah.
So as they get older and it's not like quite as important when they're babies, it's like their sleep is very,
right.
And it just needs to be more, their environment needs to be more monitored.
Right.
So yeah, I guess I just kind of let go of not having to bring all of the things to make sure that their sleeping environment is exactly the same.
Yeah. My goal is to be a little bit more chill when it comes to traveling with kids.
I was the same exact way with Addie. I was the same exact way. I think that's everybody's story as a of one, your first child. You just, and you do that, you would still do that no matter how many kids you have. You just literally can't, I think. As you get more, as you have more kids, you just can't bring all the things. Like, so I would still definitely do that. I just had to like, okay, that's something that I can't
be realistic.
Realistically do that anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's just different stages. Yeah. You have everybody, as they have more kids, they kind of shift into that.
Yeah. I think another thing that's super important when traveling with kids is, we kind of talked about it, but just taking care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of your kids, especially when you're traveling. So when it comes to health and wellness for you specifically, what are some things that you bring to kind of help you? Again, we're not talking about perfection or optimization. We're really just talking about maintaining the basics and like not completely falling out of your routine. So what are some things that you always bring with you when you're traveling to kind of feel like you're staying in your routine and well?
Yeah, I always bring in the morning. I've alluded to it before, but I always bring, have an H2 tablet with my isotonics. So that's like my number one non-negotiable. If I don't start my day with the hydrogen tablet and my isotonics, then I feel off the whole day. So I'll bring that. And then at night is usually when I take like my magnesium and glutathione. So I try to bring those for sure. I don't always bring like omegas and what's the other one I take? It's like a adrenal gland support. Okay. I sometimes bring those. So magnesium and glutathione for sure, and then like creatine, and then like my cowboy colostrum, I usually take that with me too. And then electrolytes, again, like I can't not have electrolytes because I completely feel a difference. Yeah. And then just trying to stay in my routine as much as possible. Like supplements set aside, it's just so much better for me mentally if I try to get up before my kids. So I try to do that to just start the day off right and not start it chaotic. And then have my time to like get in the word and have just my own time, do some red light, try to bring my face mask red light that freaks everybody out. Other than that, that's like, if I can do that, then I can be pretty well set up. Yeah. What about you? What are your non-negotiables?
If I'm being honest, I'm not as good now because I feel like I'm still freshly in the stage of trying to not forget anything that Noah needs. And so if I'm being honest, I a lot of times forget basically everything that I take or use on a day-to-day basis. For example, when we went to Florida, I forgot my isotonics and I could feel it. Like you said the exact same thing. I take it every single morning when I'm home with the H2 tab, and it's crazy how much of a difference I felt when we were in Florida, not having it. I just felt groggy and not energized, and I just didn't feel like that was rounding out my morning, and it was super unfortunate. And that was kind of funny because we were on the way home and I was like, gosh, I really missed having my isotonics. I'm excited to get home to that. And Tanner's like, oh, I have a ton in my bag.
Like, I had some the whole time.
Where were you the whole week? Why didn't you let me know? Oh gosh. But I think when I do remember, that is huge for me. I always travel with isotonics. Again, when I do remember, I always bring my probiotics. So I personally like ProMix. They have little like individual packets of probiotics that I'll just mix in with water. Electrolytes are huge. Again, I drink Relight. That's the Redmond Salt brand, and they have individual packets as well. Individual packets for me are, I don't know, for some reason, I'm just better at remembering to bring those because I don't have to worry about like packing a whole container or a whole thing of powder. And then usually if you do that, you're going to get stopped by TSA, and who's got for that. But so those are some main ones. Creatine is big for me because I've noticed Tanner and I were talking about like we try to take more creatine on the days that we're actually traveling, because we really just think that it helps with jet lag. Even if you're not traveling far, it still really helps to, you know, kind of get yourself back into that routine or not have that feeling of feeling off when you're traveling. High protein snacks are huge for me. I'm really bad at, not really bad, but I'm not great about eating as much protein as I should, even when I'm home. And so I know that my routine is going to look a little bit different when I'm traveling. So then I try to be mindful of that going into it, packing enough protein rich snacks for me personally.
Yeah.
So if I'm on an airplane, I'm not reaching for like the pretzels or the cookie or something just because I'm hungry, having enough high protein snacks. And then my own refillable water bottle too, which is pretty, I feel like, kind of obvious, but that's something that I have forgotten before. It makes a huge difference because like you said, you get dehydrated when you're traveling. And again, at home, I'm still like, I don't get to 3-4 o'clock. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't had enough water today.
Yeah.
And so just having that with you to kind of remind yourself like, hey, I brought this for a reason. I need to stay hydrated is huge. So for me, those are some of the things that again really really help me stay in my kind of like basic routine and not completely fall off the wagon.
What's one, if you only could have one thing that you would tell someone, like if you're traveling, whether it's you or your kids, I would give you one tip, what would that be to stay, I guess specifically to stay healthy while you're traveling?
I would say to not stress the small things, and to really try to just eliminate as much worry as you can. We were talking about this with Mom when we were on our way home from Florida. She's like, man, you kind of worry a lot, don't you? And I'm like, well, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
But it really, for me personally, I'm a big believer in like the stress that you have directly impacts your health. And then if you're not healthy, you can't take care of your kids. And so traveling is going to be stressful with kids. And so I think that you just kind of, again, going back to the mindset of it's not going to be perfect and we just have to go with the flow. Way easier said than done. But trying to eliminate as much stress as possible is huge. If that means slightly overpacking in the medicine or supplement department, then that's fine. As long as it gives you more peace of mind to know that you're prepared, then that's great. Whatever that looks like for you, just trying to eliminate as much stress as possible. I've seen specifically on airplanes, because for me on like airplane rides, even if they're only a couple hours long with the baby, can be kind of stressful. And so if you're traveling with your spouse and just saying, hey, we're going to do 30-minute increments, and this 30 minutes you're going to be in charge of, you know, entertaining the kid or the children or this kid. And then after 30 minutes, you get a break and you can try to take a little power nap or listen to music or read a book or do something that really kind of recenters you to help prepare you for the next 30 minutes. And I think communication, as far as that goes, is key, because I have found out the hard way that if you just have all these expectations in your mind and you don't communicate that with the people that you're traveling with, it's not going to end well, and it's just going to cause more stress. So communication and really trying to find like an optimal, whether it's a schedule or lack of schedule, whatever that looks like for you, is huge.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, yours is probably a deeper answer than mine.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's good. That was really good. Mine, I am, the sun is so good and so healing for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fact. Like, that's what God gave us, the sun, for a reason. And so when we're traveling, also, I mean, at home, obviously, but especially when you're traveling, you don't have to be in Florida. No matter where you go, you need to find the sun. We try to, when we wake up in the morning, at least try to look at the sun. If you're in a hotel room, it's a little bit harder, but try to get outside right away and just get some sun. But especially if you like, you notice your kid or you starting to come down with something, getting outside, even if it's -10 degrees outside, like bundling up and going outside and just being under the sun. So we try to just be outside as much as we can, while, especially if you're in the car. If you're in the car and you're driving somewhere, try to get out and take breaks as much as you can to be outside. If you're traveling in the airports, that's a little bit harder. But when you get home, when you get to your destination, try to spend some time outside. Again, the sun is just healing, and we're designed to be in the sun, which is why, like, when we live in South Dakota and it's winter, and that's why, you know, so many people talk about the feeling depressed in the winter. It's because we naturally go inside and we don't see the sun much in the winter.
Right.
So really trying to utilize that while you're traveling to stay healthy.
Yeah. And I think movement kind of ties into that as well. At the end of the day, you could really just take those basic things like moving your body and being in the sun. And if you're taking those seriously, I feel like that has a big impact on your trip as well. And when I talk about movement, it's not necessarily getting a perfect workout in like you do at home. When we were in Florida, there was one day that we decided to like be intentional about going to a workout class, which was amazing. And it felt good to do something like that. But outside of that, we didn't have the time because we were with the kids, and you know, you couldn't really get up super early in the morning and Uber to a workout class you're not familiar with.
But you're doing like dance parties.
But you're doing dance parties and going on walks and just really being intentional about playing with your kids. That's all movement. It doesn't have to look like it looks like at home.
Yeah.
But just doing some sort of variety of that will really make a huge difference in what your trip and how you feel.
Yeah. Also, if you're a mom, you're just busy anyway, and you don't use that as an excuse to not work out, but like, give yourself some grace knowing that you're picking things up all the time, you're washing dishes, you're constantly moving, picking kids up, so you're active. Just try to look for those ways to continue to be that way.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit, kind of as we start to wrap up a little bit, about letting go of guilt, because mom guilt in general is huge. And I feel like that's also, for me personally, has come more to like focus when I'm traveling. And so how do you deal with any sort of guilt when you're traveling, whether it's, you know, like letting your kids have screen time or going to bed later or whatever that looks like? How do you personally deal with that?
So I don't know if it's my personality. I struggle to really interpret that sometimes. Like, I mean, when I experience mom guilt is when I am away from my kids. That's really the bulk of when I experience that, even though I think that I do experience that in little ways. Right. I just don't always acknowledge it, and that's because that's my personality, is just be like, you know, not like whatever, but like I just don't think about it And I should, because it's, again, I think that's my way of just not dealing with it. But yeah, my guilt is just when I'm away from my kids. And so I can speak to that, and just knowing that you are doing, because I think every mom, or I know every mom experiences that to some degree, no matter if it's big or small. And you just have to know that you are a great mom, no matter, like, you are doing, if you're loving your kids, and like, let's say you work and you have guilt that you work, and you come home and you are making the most of your time, and you're feeding your kids well, and you're taking care of your kids, like, you're a great mom.
Yeah.
And we're gonna experience that guilt, but that's where I think we need to find that support with each other, and support outside of your whether, your husband, your friends, to help you through that, because it's a really real thing that I don't think gets talked about very much.
Yeah. No, that's super commendable, because I strive to be that way. And not that I experience a lot of guilt. I think as probably a first-time mom, you're harder on yourself than you should be. But again, as an example, like when we were traveling to Florida on that Tuesday, Noah only took one nap that day, and it was super short. It was just like, it was a weird travel day, and she didn't want to fall asleep on the airplane. And by the time we got there, it was too late to take a nap, because we were inching up on bedtime. And then she had this episode that night where she fell asleep for an hour, woke up, and was inconsolable for a long time. And so to me, I'm like, I feel so guilty. Why did we, I'm probably go a little bit too far. I'm like, I should have just kept her home. I should have done all the things. And I know that's crazy, and I'm a little too hard on myself in that regard, but it's real. And I think everybody has those feelings. And so I don't want people to push that down and pretend like it's nothing, because I love what you said about like finding that support around you, and realizing that it's not just you, because I think that's probably the only way to kind of get out of that funk, I would call it, is guilt. And I also think that we should realize that travel is temporary. Like, we only get few opportunities to do things like this with our kids, and we're allowed to adapt. That's what we do as humans, is we adapt to the situations that we're in, and we adapt to the things that are outside of our comfort zone. And so if we're just able to realize, like, hey, let's adapt, let's travel, let's enjoy this time as a family. It's just a week, it's just 4 days, whatever it is, and then we can get back into our routine. I think that that's going to make your travel so much better.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's being very intentional about trying to stay on top of it, because I'm sure, like, I know when you start to have those feelings of feeling guilty, it just starts to pile on top of it. The feelings start to pile on top. So trying to get ahead of it, and, like, again, find the support and do what you need to do, if that's like spending time by yourself and getting to a better place. But just knowing that, I think for me, it helps knowing that you're not the only one that struggles with that. Like, every mom goes through that to some degree, and that your kid absolutely loves you, and your God created you to be a mom, and so He's gonna give you everything you need to be a good mom. At the end of the day.
That's great. I love it. So, just to kind of wrap up the overarching things that we talked about, overpack snacks for some people.
Snacks.
Prioritize sleep. Kind of let go of the perfect mindset. Be willing to adapt. What else am I missing?
But at the end of the day, like, travel with your kids if you can.
Just do it.
Even if that, we're not saying, you have to take a huge trip with your kids, even if it's just going an hour and a half and staying in a hotel. Like, just make the memories with your kids, and don't let the fear of uncomfortable, of being uncomfortable hold you back, I think.
Stressing about routines will kind of defeat the purpose of living in the moment and having those experiences with our kids. So if you're taking our advice, then just do it. Plan the trip. It's hard, but you'll get through it, and it'll only be worth it. All the memories you can look back on.
It's always worth it. Cool.
Any other last thoughts?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Hopefully we left some good tips.
Yeah, let us know if you have any tips for us, because we're always learning.
Yes, that's for sure. We never have it figured out.
Yep.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation. If you found it helpful, be sure to share it with a friend who's about to go on a trip with their kids and leave us a 5-star review. Be sure to like and subscribe on whatever platform you listen to your podcasts, and follow us on Instagram at Threads of Wellth. We'll see you next time.